Ladies and gents, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for clicking that button and joining me for today's video. Hope you're all well. So today we're out testing and reviewing another e-bike. That's correct, this is the second e-bike to feature on the channel. This one has been specially sent from Cyrusher, and this is the Asuka. And this one, ladies and gents, has got a few trick components and an absolutely banging spec set for the price. Let's get into it. Now, if you cast your minds back to a couple of months ago, we did feature our first e-bike on the channel, and that was the Hitway BKU1. That was a solid bike, and we had ideas to turn that into an adventure trekking bike. Now, I have a sneaky suspicion that Cyrusher has watched that video and then reached out to me with their absolutely prominently designed for the task e-bike, which is the Cyrusher Asuka. The Cyrusher Asuka has all the ingredients required to make that an absolutely fantastic adventure and trekking bike. We have front and rear pannier carriers, we have hybrid tarmac and gravel tyres, 700C wheels, and a fantastic group set also on that bike. So let's talk in more e-bike goodness, and here she is, ladies and gents, in all her glory, the Cyrusher Asuka e-bike. So as you can see, I chose the very beautiful and very striking orange colour. We have a very nice metallic flake in that paint as well. There are three colourways available. There's the orange, the blue and the black. This one appealed to me the most, and I just love that fade on the frame. Very beautifully done, and again, very striking. As you can also see, this is another step through frame. These are becoming quite prevalent in the e-bike market now, and once again, this is not a lady's bike. This, I would say, is a gateway frame for anyone experiencing discomfort or disabilities in the hips or back. It will just allow you to mount the bike much more easier, and again, it makes it much more accessible for a lot more people wanting to enjoy the hobby. Also, if you are a commuter wearing suits and boots, or a bushcrafter like me who wears heavy clothing, it's just much easier to get on the bike as opposed to having to straddle a saddle like I've just done, like so. Now, if you are already aware of the Cyrusher brand, you're probably more familiar with their full suspension, fat tyre bikes with extremely heavy frames and limited range. Now, in this case, Cyrusher seems to have done a 180 and built what is, in my opinion, an exquisite example of what can be the perfect commuter, trekking, touring and adventure e-bike. So what I'd like to do now is very quickly go over all the components and features that make up this bike, starting from the rear. So on the rear we have a 25 kilo load carrier, very nicely bolted onto the rear hanger, very nice welds, feels very secure, and you should have no problem loading all of your equipment onto the back here. Up here we have a very nice plush seat, which did take me a couple of weeks to get used to. I think we've broken it in now, but again, that is very comfortable for me. We have an extremely overbuilt frame here, very thick frame with a lovely integrated battery, which is one of my favourite features on this bike, as opposed to the external mounted battery on the BKU1. We also have a 2-inch OLED screen mounted up here, very visible in the brightest light, which I've witnessed today. Again, very nice. We also have bottle carriers, bottle mounts, and you can see I've put one here. You don't get this with a bike, but I've put one up here just to carry a bottle. On the front of the frame we have a nice oversized head tube here, which is very nice. Up on the front of the bike we do have that lovely front carrier here, something that was absent on my last e-bike and which is very welcomed on this one. As you can see here, I've paired this at the minute with a small pack. You can put anything you want in there. I've got a bit of fishing gear in there, but we've still got room on the front of there for a bedroll as well, should you choose. Now, I will say, when the Cyrusher Asuka gets rolling, it is a very quick bike, and we need good stopping power to stop the bike when required. So on board we have Shimano MT200 160mm hydraulic brakes, and these do a fantastic job of stopping the bike even at high speed. Also, the bonus with these is every bicycle repair shop is going to have spares for these brakes on the shelf, so you don't have to worry about sourcing random components that you can never find when you need them. There are other components worth mentioning on the bike, such as the 700mm zoom handlebar. We also have the Audi grips, which under use proved very comfortable. We also have an adjustable stem up front. We also have front and rear lights, which are operated from the screen built into the frame on the bike. But my overall favourite part of this bike is the group set, which we'll take a close look at now. Now, at the rear we have the drivetrain and the beating heart of the bike, which is the Bafang 250 watt 50 Newton meter rear hub motor. Paired with that is the Shimano Tiagra 10-speed group set, which in itself is a premium mid-tier piece of equipment, which just goes to show Cyrusher has not skimped on the build of this bike. But as good as that group set is, the bike isn't going anywhere without wheels. And in the case of the Cyrusher Asuka, the bike is paired with a set of 700C rims, and on there we have a pair of Cheoyang E-Liner city tyres with just enough grip to tackle the loose gravel as well as tarmac. Now, one thing worth mentioning to my awesome viewers, that's you, is the Cyrusher Asuka is quite a tall bike, and even with that step-through frame, if you've got a bottle on there as well, that's kind of touching places you don't really want touching. It's not very comfortable. And this bike is aimed at riders from 5'7" all the way to 6'2". I'm 5'8" and 2 smidges of a millimetre, so it's not too bad a fit for me. But when you're actually sitting on the bike at traffic, again, it is quite a tall bike, and I'm on my tiptoes there to keep the bike upright. Up front, handling all those ruts and bumps, is Cyrusher's in-house suspension air fork, which under use has proved very plush and does a great job of controlling the front of that bike. Now let's have a look at the pièce de résistance, which is the Cyrusher's battery. Now, when it comes to e-bike batteries, Samsung is certainly considered the gold standard, and you'll be glad to know the Cyrusher Asuka does implement a Samsung cell in their bike build. This one is a 36 volts, 14 amp hour, 504 watt hour cell. Now, Cyrusher do claim a range of around 75 miles, that's 120 kilometers. Now, it's the same old story. If you're hammering it about in the highest pedal assist, which is 5, you can expect half of that if you're lucky. If you keep it in number 2, which is what I generally keep it in, you can expect a much higher range, possibly reaching 55 to 60 mile, I would say. Another one of my favourite components built into the Cyrusher Asuka is the 2-inch OLED screen, built very discreetly into the frame here, meaning we have no controls on the handlebars, keeping everything clean and tidy. Extremely easy to use after you know how, and I will demonstrate to you now very quickly, just going through and cycling through menus. So again, the built-in panel is extremely easy to use. A long press to turn it on. Up here you have your battery, remaining health, you have your miles per hour, your trip, odometer, your assist levels. Now, we do have subcategories where we can double click and that will go through different information there. Your assists is a single press. That goes up to 5. And then it's a triple press for the menu. And then you can cycle through all different menu information there. As simple as that. Now, I will say it is only a single button function, so to cycle through your assist modes, you are going to go back to 0 and then you count up again. So if you're going past 5, you are going to cycle back, which you need to be mindful of if you're on a busy road. To turn the lights on, just long press the button while the menu is on. You'll see a bar that'll turn blue. You'll get your headlight and rear light lights on here. To turn it off, same again. Hold it until it turns blue, turn it off. To turn the bike off, long press, don't stop pressing, it'll turn itself off. So what is the Cyrusher Asuka like to ride? Well, after putting nearly 50, 60 miles on this bike now, I think that's an easy one to answer. And the first things that come to mind are, feels poised, extremely streamlined, effortless to ride, and it has plenty of power on tap when you need to go fast, quick. It tracks extremely well with a wide bar. There's no twitchiness in the steering, and it's just an absolute pleasure to ride. It's a different kind of ride to the BKU1. The BKU1 did feel heavier at 38 kilo. Again, this is 25 kilo. We have less newton meters of torque on this. We have 50 as opposed to the 70 on the Itway, but still more than enough for a pleasurable ride. The Shimano Tiagra group set on the bike makes changing gears an absolute dream. The levers are silky smooth, and when you put it into a gear, it changes gear effortlessly, no skipping, straight in, bang. Absolute dream. The 700C wheels on the bike make negotiating bumps and ruts in the road easy, and the in-house air fork front takes care of the rest. Very plush fork, and being air at this price point is ridiculous. The power plant powering this bike is the rear hub Bafang 250 watt motor, again paired with 50 Newton meters of torque. Now, I've always been skeptical regarding rear hub motors, and the ones I've tested in the past, they've been hit and miss. It's either full power or no power. With the Bafang rear hub on this bike, it is paired with a torque sensor, not a cadence sensor, which means the power is variable. So if you're pushing on the pedals lightly, it will match your speed accordingly. If you bang on the pedals, it will give you all the power you need there and then. It's a very nice setup, and it just makes you feel like you've got bionic legs, to be honest. Another nice touch on the bike is the Shimano MT200 brakes. You got plenty of stopping power there with the 160mm rotors and the hydraulic brakes. I was coming back down from Hearts of Pike there. Couldn't really record it because the camera was everywhere. But I was doing 37 miles an hour coming down that hill. We had a wagon oncoming, tap on the brakes, the bike stopped. Safely, I might add. I've no issues with the range on the battery. Again, I use this bike in a round assist 2 all the time. That's more than sufficient for general riding. Maybe knock it up to 4 or 5 when I'm climbing a steep climb, but apart from that, 2 is very sufficient. And I think keeping it around 2 pedal assist, you can expect to see ranges of around 50 to 55 miles easily, which isn't far from the claimed 75 miles from Cyrusher. And again, coming in at 25 kilo, the bike just feels swift. It's even rideable with no assist at all, which on the hitway, that was a no-go. My only cynicism or criticism, if I had to choose one, was the fact you do need to look down at the screen. If you don't remember what pedal assist you're in, or you want to check something like your route, how many miles you've done, battery level, things like that. I mean, it is only a momentary glance, but you are taking your eyes off the road. And if you do need to change anything on that computer while you're riding, especially on a busy road like this, you are having to take your hands off the handlebars. Now, I totally understand why Cyrusher's approached it from this angle. It's to keep the bike streamlined. It does a great job. It's a tiny little monitor. It's built into the frame, which I much prefer. And it gets rid of the buttons on the handlebars as well, which tidies everything up. But again, you do have to be aware of your surroundings before you make any changes to that computer. And again, having to take your hands off the bars, which makes it a bit precarious. Let's pick up some speed. Put it into 5. Taking my eyes off the road, that's 0. That's another thing as well. If you miss the pedal assist, I'm riding here at nearly 30 miles an hour with one hand on the bar. Let's get some. "26 miles an hour. This is purely powered by my legs now, and the camera's disappearing. It was nice seeing yous. Bye-bye. And after that, I'm blowing out my arse. 28 miles an hour there. Wow, I'm going to pay for that tomorrow. Right, I think it's time for a brew. Now I'd just like to mention as well, ladies and gents, if you're still watching, I think Cyrusher had a cheeky little look at the review video for the BKU1, because in that video I did mention it would make a great adventure trekking bike, albeit with a few mods. Now they've looked at that video, which is my suspicion, and thought, you know what, we've got the perfect bike for you. And ladies and gents, I think this is the perfect bike for the adventure trekker. And on the front of this, as we've seen, we do get that lovely little front rack, suitable for bed rolls. I've got a small bag on there, some fishing kit in it, but no mods required on this bike for that purpose. Now the Cyrusher is a fully UK legal road e-bike, being 250 watts, 50 newton meters, no throttle. It is purely pedal assist, but if you are that way inclined and you do require that bit more power, there are ways and means of doing so with this bike, which I certainly haven't done. Just to squeeze that bit more power out, and I'm guessing it would make it all the more pleasurable to ride. So as you can tell from my breathing, we are coming up to a sheer climb now. The bike is in pedal assist 5, lowest gear, and that Bafang 250 motor is still giving me more than enough, where I don't have to exert too much pressure, but I'm easily gliding up this hill. My lungs would argue otherwise. You probably can't see the gradient of this climb off the camera, but believe me, it's a solid climb up to around 1200 feet above sea level, heading towards one of my local visitor attractions, Hartshead Pike. Maybe not 1200 feet, but very high. There's Hartshead Pike. Right, ladies and gents, so I hope you can see me there. Coffee has been accomplished. Bit balmy having a coffee in this weather, but it has cooled down a bit now, and my water wasn't much cooler than this, so. Right, so final thoughts on the Cyrusher Asuka. First of all, let me just tell you the price of that bike. So that bike can be had for a little over £800 UK. 800 quid for the components and just the ride quality of that bike. That is ridiculous. That is a £2 bike all day long. I have had quality trek bikes in the past, and that is just as sure-footed, comfortable, and as quality a ride as that. Like I say, you got the Shimano Tiagra group set on there. That's a mid-tier piece of equipment already. You've got the Shimano brakes, the integrated battery, and the OLED screen. Everything on that bike just screams quality when you ride it, and even just when you look at it. So 800 quid or $1,000, $950, something like that, for the Asuka Cyrusher, which is, again, in my opinion, a £2 bike all day long. There are a couple of grumbles that I have myself. The main one being obviously the OLED screen built into the frame. That's a beautiful touch. It's really nice, keeps the bike really sleek and stylish, but you're having to negotiate that when you're on busy roads, and whether you're just looking at the trip or what power assist level you're in. And also, if you need to play with that computer, you're taking your hand off the handlebars, which again can be dangerous. You just got to be aware of your surroundings, like I said, and it shouldn't cause much of an issue. It caught me off guard a few times when I was on my local canal and I was coming up to sort of bridges that I had to negotiate, taking my hand off, making sure I was in the right power assist, And then you've got speed ramps on my canal as well, so I was negotiating them with one arm. But that is probably about it. All the pluses I mentioned in the video. The integrated Samsung battery, which again is the gold standard for e-bike batteries. You got the Shimano Tiago group set. You got the air forks, which again for that price point is unheard of for me, to be honest. Usually you get like a pogo stick, which reminds me of the Hitway. That did have a bit of a pogo stick, but it did the job. But an air fork on an 800-pound bike, amazing, absolutely amazing. Right, ladies and gents, so there's not much more to say. I think that fully completes that comprehensive review on the Cyrusher Asuka. I'd like to thank Cyrusher for sending it over. That is now my future adventure, touring, camping e-bike. So as you can see also, we brought the Ganesha titanium secondary combustion stove out again today for another whirl. That is the second time that's been used since the review, and it was much more fruitful today. It did bring my water to a boil in rapid succession, using a bit of beach off the floor and aiming that window into the breeze. This cup of coffee is still way too hot to drink. Bloody hell. I hate aluminium. Also, ladies and gents, I've just found another cool camping spot just behind me here. So I'm going to have a go at tidying that up and probably do a camp up here at some point with the bike. And that is all from me on this one, ladies and gents. I'm going to wrap the video up there. I do hope you've enjoyed this one. If you did, please leave a like on the video and a comment down in the comment section. And I'll be sure to reply. But until the next one, you stay safe, and as always, stay crafty. See you again. Bye-bye.